Welcome back, young wizards. I'm Rich. This is Commander Capital. And here, I'm going to tell you about the story of last summer. Because right now it's early March, it's snowing outside. You saw me with a beard a few days ago because it was an absolute blizzard out. And so, that's where we are in this world. But back then, I came up with an idea called the Epic Life. Don't worry, I'll bring the whiteboard back out more later. But I wanted to show you that I came up with this idea. And, well, it's not an original idea. It's basically just my title of the Epic Life means how can I make my life, or someone else's life, whoever's life, epic. What does epic mean? Epic means, epic's the word I chose to mean more or less everything I could have wanted. Everything I could have wanted out of life come to reality. So first, that required knowing what did I want out of life. So I asked myself the question. I gave myself some time, and I gave myself about a month. I thought a month would be enough time to, I just started writing things down. Everything I thought, I took out a piece of paper and just wrote down everything I wanted out of life. Just started writing everything down I could possibly think of. I suggest you try this yourself. Maybe you've done it before. You've probably done it before. But just write everything down, and this was my process anyway. I figured I would just write it all down, and then by seeing it all down on paper, I thought maybe I would be able to. I thought that would illuminate the path toward achieving those things. So I proceeded to do that for about 2 weeks. Every time I thought of something, I pulled my phone out, I wrote a note in it. I took a piece of paper out, I wrote it down, and sooner or later, I ended up with more or less a comprehensive list of everything I was looking for in my life. And at that point, I stopped. It was only about 2.5 weeks. Personally, I feel like I wasn't able to come up with anything totally new after that point. So I was then able to look at that information, look at what I wanted, and categorize it. So I took the information, all the different things that I wanted, and it boiled it down to, I think there was 4 or 5 main categories, and that was originally on that board that I just showed you, but it's been wiped and updated, and so it doesn't show that anymore. But originally, maybe we'll be able to pull this up. I think I have a picture saved, but there was 4 or 5 main categories, and it's very obvious categories, and it's not. This isn't original. I'm not the first person to come up with this. Basically, what people want out of their life is 4 or 5 main things. So they want physical things. They want their body to be healthy, for sure. Who wouldn't want to be functional and mobile and dexterous and strong, and fortified against disease, and feeling good, energetic, and bright, and mentally agile, fluent, or not exactly how you describe equipped, capable. So if you want everything to function right, you've got to take care of your body. And so there was a bunch of physical, requirements that I wanted, things that I wanted physically, and ways to take care of that. There was a bunch of mental things, as far as taking care of myself mentally. There's a whole lot to go into all of these different things. The third one, I think, was financially. So of course, who doesn't want to have money? Who doesn't want to have resources? Who doesn't want to have a successful business or success in some sort? Who doesn't want to be, a renowned artist or whatever? So you might have something you want out of life. It's not financial, but I think everybody wants at least a certain baseline of financial, of capability of taking care of yourself, your family, and in a certain sense, the people around you, and be able to give back. I learned that from Jeez, I can blank out his name. Just saw a really good presentation on a guy about finances. We'll get to that later though too. And the fourth thing was social. It's not in order, but social was important too. You need to have good relationships. You want good relationships. You might want a family. You might not want a family today, but you might want one someday. You might want, a spouse. You might want to have good connections with your parents or your siblings or your aunts and uncles, grandparents, your family, your friends, your coworkers. You might want good relationships in your life, and I do, and most people do, I think. So that's the main category number 4. And I think the final one, the one this podcast is going to ultimately be more focused on, is the 5th one, is the self-actualization, which is like, for me, that's finding my purpose and delivering upon it and being what I wanted to become. So at a certain point I thought I wanted to be a photographer. You might see some images behind me that I used that are images that I took, or photos that I took myself. I like to take photos like my whole life. I've got, ever since college, I got rolls of photos. So tons of landscapes and backgrounds and stuff, and I'll try to use those as backgrounds here. Thought that'd be a good use of it. Haven't been able to figure out a way to publish it elsewise yet, or what else to do with it, but I'm gonna try to make use of those pictures at some point, and you might see them as background here. But it was more than photography that I wanted. For my life to feel whole, what I had to do is send a message. I had to pick up a microphone, I had to speak, and that's why I'm here today, because I'm fulfilling that goal. I'm attempting to fulfill that goal, because there's a certain itch inside you that just isn't filled if you don't do it. I've come to realize that. But it's not that I didn't realize that before. I knew for a very long time. I was a teacher a very long time ago, very briefly, and I knew that I wanted to do that. It just wasn't the time yet. It wasn't the right atmosphere. I needed more life experiences. I knew I needed to grow up. And not that I'm grown up. Not that I'm grown up. But I just knew that I wasn't ready to, I didn't have the worldliness that I felt like I needed. The understanding of people, the understanding of the community, that I now have, that I more or less have. I'm definitely not, there's definitely more, I'm by no means some worldly expert, please. But I found that I realized that I want to share my message. I thought I was going to have a website or a book or be a teacher, and maybe I'll do those things. But for right now, the podcast is going to be my way of sending that message out. So that's basically what this podcast is going to be about. And I intended to start with talking about physical health in this episode, but it's been a little bit long already, so we're going to run that into the next. That'll be the next episode, I suppose. I'm just kind of doing these as the most important thing first. Start with the framework. Don't skip. And so right now we're setting up the framework. So that's where we're going. We're going to cover each of those 4 or 5 things. There's 4 or 5 main topics. And 5th, and most excitingly for me, is going to be the 5th, and bringing people to their actualization, helping people find their actualization. And that's partly why I think this everything you want out of life, write down everything you want out of life. I think that's where that's really helpful, is because it helps you identify, helped me identify and isolate what are the things that I wanted to get out of my life that weren't physical, mental, social, and financial. What more was there? What else did I want? And that all came to light when I exhausted myself of things that I wanted out of my life on a long list. So that's how I got there. That's where I thought of the Epic Life podcast, the Epic Life conception, and I just decided to wrap that into Commander Capital here because, and actually real quick, I wanted to define Commander Capital too. So Commander, what is a Commander? Commander is somebody who takes control, who leads, who makes the decisions, somebody who is basically the authority over, not the authority, but the director. The commander is the person who is leading and making the calls to the other people. And Well, the commander in capital in this sense is actually leading and making the calls of yourself. So you are the commander of your own capital. This is the capital by which you are the commander of your own capital. It is a pun. Everything here is a pun. If you think it's a pun, it probably is. I'm not going to note on it. I'm not going to spend time looking at it. I'm not going to maybe even laugh about it. But it's there. It's like South Park. It's there. So this is commander capital. There will be ways to... This is going to be about being the commander of your own capital, and capital, of course, being your things that are your investments for your future, and largely your main capital is yourself. So we're going to be here investing in ourselves, taking control of ourselves, leading ourselves properly toward a greater future, and that is commander capital, and we'll move forward those ideas in the next episode.